The role of exile. How being labeled the black sheep functions as both punishment and potential liberation from the curse. Within a cursed bloodline, the role of the black sheep is almost always deliberate. This is not simply a personality clash or a natural distancing between family members. It is a targeted dynamic in which one or more individuals are isolated, rejected, or discredited for resisting the terms of the curse, whether consciously or unconsciously. Exile is one of the curse's most effective tools for control because it operates on two levels. It punishes the one who resists, making their life outside the family system more difficult. It warns everyone else in the bloodline that stepping out of compliance will have consequences. Exile as a systemic tool. A generational curse is not just a spiritual contract, it is also a behavioral system. Like any system, it has mechanisms for maintaining itself. Exile is one of these mechanisms. By cutting a person out of the shared resources, social bonds, and decision-making spaces, the curse limits their ability to influence or redirect the family's trajectory. The exile process can include social exclusion, no invitations to gatherings, milestone events, or collaborative decisions; economic severance, denial of financial support, inheritance, or access to family-controlled opportunities; narrative rewriting, altering the story of the exiled member's life to frame them as dangerous, unstable, or disloyal; emotional deprivation, withdrawal of affection, recognition, or validation to reinforce isolation. While these tactics may appear personal, they are often patterned, repeated across generations, and used on anyone who disrupts the curse's function. Why the curse enforces exile. The primary reason exile is used in cursed bloodlines is containment. The curse depends on continued agreement not just from the one who initiated it, but from all who inherit it. Someone who questions the rituals, refuses the unspoken terms, or exposes hidden agreements poses a threat to its continuation. Exile serves two purposes: intimidation. Others in the family witness the rejection and learn to avoid behaviors that might lead to the same treatment. Containment. The person most likely to disrupt or dismantle the curse is kept at a distance, reducing their influence. The paradox of exile. While exile is designed as a punishment, it can also be an unintended liberation. Being outside the daily functions of the curse means fewer opportunities to reinforce it. Without constant participation in the family's traditions, conversations, and patterns, the exiled member is less likely to keep renewing the agreements that sustain the curse. This distance allows for perspective. When you are inside the system, it is difficult to see it clearly because the rules feel normal. Exile creates a vantage point from which patterns and agreements become easier to identify, and once identified, they can be challenged and broken. Why exile does not automatically equal freedom. Physical separation alone does not end the curse's influence. Many exiled members remain emotionally tethered to the family through longing for approval, desire for reconciliation, or unresolved shame. These emotional bonds can keep the curse active even without physical contact. Exile without deliberate spiritual and mental separation can also lead to repetition of the same dynamic in other settings. The same control structures can appear in workplaces, friendships, or intimate relationships, replicating the curse under a new name. Recognizing the exile pattern. Patterns of exile in a bloodline can be detected by asking, is there a recurring pattern of one member per generation being excluded, disowned, or erased from family memory? Are those exiled typically the ones who speak out, refuse certain traditions, or challenge leadership? Does the family treat exile as a moral failing of the individual rather than a structural outcome of the system? If the answer to these is consistently yes, exile is functioning as a generational control mechanism rather than an isolated conflict. Transforming exile into liberation. To convert exile into a point of freedom rather than ongoing bondage. Name the mechanism, recognize exile as a systemic enforcement tactic tied to the curse, not just interpersonal conflict. Cut spiritual and emotional ties. Break the agreements that give the curse authority over your identity or destiny. Establish independent structures. Build your own patterns, traditions, and support systems that do not mirror the family's curse-sustaining dynamics. Guard against reattachment. Stay alert for manipulative attempts to draw you back into alignment under the pretense of reconciliation. Exile is both a test and an opportunity. Within the curse system, it is meant to silence and control. Outside of it, if handled intentionally, it can be the point where the bloodline's hold begins to fracture not just for the one exiled, but for future generations who will never know the curse as a living reality. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and what you just watched is part of my signature program, the Chosen One series inside School of Soul. This series is not just a course, it's a blueprint for those who know they were different from the start. The black sheep, the scapegoat, the truth teller, the cycle breaker. Inside, you'll discover the family roles playbook, the golden child, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child. and how to finally step out of the part you were cast in without consent. How the black sheep becomes the goat, turning rejection into radical transformation in leadership. How to break generational curses and rewrite ancestral contracts so the pain stops with you. And how to recognize and escape modern forms of spiritual and technological targeting, from gang stalking to synthetic synchronicity. This isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, about reclaiming your voice, your lineage, and your destiny as one of the chosen ones. Click the link below to access the full series now, because the role ends the moment you decide it does, and the real script begins with you.